Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about collective power. And collective power is all encompassing, and I'm going to tie it all together as I go, but it all branches off of one question. And we all ask ourselves this question throughout our lives, especially as you get older, you start to ask it more and more. And you want to know, what is the difference between someone who has longevity and someone who doesn't? Now, without questions, genetics, injuries, accidents can happen in life. But if we take those crazy instances out of the picture and we just look at what is the difference between somebody who has it, who at 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 is vibrant, versus somebody who at 20, 30, 40, 50 who is not vibrant. What is the difference in these two people? Okay, so one who doesn't have it, they have certain characteristics, and one who has it has certain characteristics also. So what I want to ask you right off the bat is, and I want you to raise your hand or I want you to shout it out because I want to hear all of your thoughts on this, is what's the difference between the one and the other? So I hear nutrition, without question. Nutrition plays a role in it. Right, without question, mindset plays a role in it. And I'm going to talk a lot about that today. It's one simple sentence that I want you guys to remember, and it's the main cog of what we're talking about today. It's range of motion. Now, you may not have ever even thought about this. What the hell is range of motion got to do with longevity? It's got everything to do with longevity. Because if you think about it, if you see somebody that's young and vibrant, they're moving quickly, they're vibrant, they have vigor, they're strong, they're confident, versus somebody who lacks that longevity vibe, that feel, they move slowly, they're in fear, they have lots of aches and pains, they don't want to move fast for fear that they might aggravate those aches and pains. Now, yeah, you can say that's just a mindset, but how do you get that mindset? And this is what we're going to talk about today, is because we believe that the physical supports the mind and the spirit, and as you open the physical up, it leads right to having more confidence in your mind and your spirit, without question. So I'm going to tell you some stories that hopefully you get the gist of all these different experiences that I've had, some high, some low, and how I kept coming back to a protocol to give more range of motion in my mind, my body, and my spirit. Now, the first story is, well, I got to lead into the first story with the fact that I was a little dude. I mean, I was little. At 19 years old, on my 19th birthday, I was 5'8", 130 pounds soaking wet. Was nowhere close to puberty, and it was simply because my home life growing up sucked. I literally stayed away from home as much as possible, and all I did was play basketball. Didn't eat a lot, so I literally stunted my growth. The day after I graduated high school, I moved out. I graduated at 19 because I was held back, because I just wasn't good at school and I had struggles learning, so they held me back. So it is what it is. This is a lesson that I want everybody to understand as well. I accepted my circumstance. The day after I graduated, I moved out. But in terms of range of motion at that time, physically, I was not confident. Mentally, not confident. Especially, like, I was nowhere near puberty, and all my friends that were 19, they were strong, getting jacked, and women were looking at them like, yeah, he looks good. And they looked at me like, who's this, your little brother? I literally heard that before. That's a confidence booster. Anyway, so when I was 19, I didn't have any confidence. So my range of motion was small. But I did something really awesome that actually all of you guys have done here today. You came to seek guidance from somebody who's really knowledgeable. David is amazing at what he does. And so you did something really intelligent. You went to seek guidance from somebody who's more higher level than you. That expands your minds. How Jesse and I look at everything is, That's a part of the equation, is the mindset. But we started with movement. And so what I did, which was really smart, I went into the gym and I've been working out with my friends, and maybe over the course of that summer I put 10 pounds on. I was now squatting 225 for 5 reps. Not bad for a 145-pound young man. Not awesome, but it was decent. I was doing workouts with my friends, sets of 5, but I was like, this is not working. I don't want to be the weak guy in the group. I don't want to be average. I want to be up here, because also at the time I was obsessed with jumping. I wanted to dunk like Dr. J and Michael Jordan, and I was completely obsessed with it. So I said, I can't be average hanging out with my friends that they were like, let's do sets of 5. That was their mindset. So I said, okay, who's the biggest, baddest dude in the gym? And I saw this guy, 6'6", 260 pounds. He played hockey for Wisconsin, a defenseman. His name was Dave. And I went up to him, it seems so funny now. I literally walked up to him and I said, hey man, is it cool if I work out with you? And he looked at me, and I can't still to this day believe that he said, yeah, you can train with me. And he said, but if you really want to work out with me, you can't bullshit. Meaning I can't give less than my all. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I'll give you one mulligan. And I was like, what's a mulligan? He goes, that's if you don't give me your heart. You don't give me all out effort on a set. I'll let you slide one time. And I said, okay, cool. So the next week, he and I are doing squats. Sure enough, I get up to 225, I do 3, 4, 5, and I rack it. And he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck? And I was like, what? And he goes, that was your mulligan. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got it. I didn't give my heart to the set. I didn't go all out. I wasn't all in. I was doing enough. And that's the difference between good and great. People are good. They're happy they're on the team, you know? They're not trying to be the star of the team. They're just happy they're on the team. They're happy they're doing this or that. But there's a great difference. I've known this. I've been around athletes my whole life. There's a difference between happy being on the team and the guy who wants the ball. I want to crush it. I want to be the star of the game. So when Dave said that to me, I was like, okay, be ready to catch the bar, because I'm going to go until I collapse. And he said, here's what I want you to do all the time. I want you to listen here, not here. Don't ever let your mind tell you what your body can do. You go until your body can't lift the weight anymore. I'll catch you. And I said, okay. I followed this protocol. Over the next year and a half training with Dave, I got ridiculously strong. I squatted 505 for reps, 505 pounds for reps at a weight of 165 pounds. By the end of year 1, I was up to 165 pounds. I squatted over 500 pounds for reps. I dropped down to 315 pounds, and I did 25 reps with it. Dropped down to 225, I did 47 reps with it. And I'm not talking little reps, I'm talking ass to grass full squats. My mindset was off the charts. And so I kept this mindset. So now I had gone from no range, and I trained the physical, and it gave me full range. I was 165 pounds, 175 times by the time I was done training with Dave and he graduated. And then I was on my own, and I was like, there's nothing. I can lift every weight in the gym, the heaviest weights, and I just kept doing that until I graduated. And then I moved to Los Angeles to become a strength coach. Now at this time, my confidence was off the charts. My range was full. Physically, mentally, spiritually, nothing could stop me. So you're talking about a guy still obsessed with jump training, and I got my vertical up really high so I could dunk really well. I was so strong. I had a super good build, really good looking too, so it didn't hurt meeting young women. And so my confidence was crazy high. As soon as I get out here then, because I had these experiences, my lineup was crazy. I started training Woody Harrelson. I got Sean Kemp, Anthony Hardaway, Darryl Strawberry, a ton. My lineup of clients was insane. I would have put myself against any trainer in Los Angeles and felt like I had the best lineup of clients in LA. So my confidence was off the charts. I get a job, I'm a strength coach for the LA Clippers, I'm still going crazy, jump training, and then one day I do an exercise, I do one-legged plyo jump off a 24-inch box, and I hear a, and I realized right then, I was like, oh no, this is bad. And the player I was training with even said, whoa, John, that didn't sound good. And I was like, oh, I'm all right. I knew it wasn't. I had strained and partially tore my ACL. I tore my patella tendon almost all the way through. It was barely hanging on by a thread. Tore my meniscus. But the thing is, at the time, I didn't have any insurance. So what did I end up doing? I ended up hobbling around LA for the next few years, trying to seek out guys that could help me. And nothing was working. So I'd gone 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I couldn't play basketball, I couldn't jump train, nothing. So now you're talking about somebody that was like this. Now my range, I'm starting to think maybe I'm that guy with the back issues that's young and just always has it the rest of his life. I literally remember thinking that. And so my mindset was shrinking. My spirit was definitely shrinking. And then in 97, I said, okay, I've done what I wanted to do out here in LA. I have some ideas for some inventions in my head because I wanted to invent some equipment to train with. So I moved back to Madison, Wisconsin, and I began to work with my dad again. He had fitness equipment. If y'all remember the beaded jump ropes, my dad invented those, the Lifeline jump ropes. And he had a business, and so I started working with him, and I invented some really cool products. So at this time, I also went to the University of Wisconsin. My friend was a strength coach, and I started working out what I could do at the gym. He saw me limp, and he was like, John, man, if you don't train with my friend and just learn from him, I'm not going to let you train in here anymore. And so I was like, all right, because he was bugging me week after week, and I was hobbling. It was ridiculous how I was like, but then I'd go do stuff because I'm a high member of the Rockhead Club, just FYI. And I know some of you guys are members of the Rockhead Club too, where you know you shouldn't do it, but you do it because that's what you know. And even though it doesn't feel good, right? So I was doing that, and he called my bluff, and he was like, okay, then meet with my friend Roger. And so I was like, all right, I'll meet with them. And this was one of those unbelievable moments in your life where you are in the presence of greatness. Now, you got to understand at this time, NBA strength coach, I also was a lecturer for this company called the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I was one of the top training lecturers in the world. I lectured all over the world on functional stability training. So on that, I'm also high level. My celebrity client list was off the charts. Physically, I looked awesome. I know I couldn't run or jump, but I was freaking killing it on all these different points. So I literally thought at this time, I'm not lying, I thought I was God's gift to the training world. Aside from the fact that my leg was jacked up, right? Well, aside from that. But so then I was fortunate enough to meet Roger, and within 2 minutes I was like, oh my God, this dude is off the charts knowledgeable. He looked at me, he said, what's the problem? I go, I blew this knee out, now my back's been killing me, I'm hobbling around, I can't do hardly anything with my lower body. He put me in a position, he put his hands on, which we'll be showing you guys later. This stuff we still use it to this day. I learned it 26 years ago. So he put his hands on me, said, resist here. And so I'm resisting, I'm pushing my shins into him. He relaxes after a couple seconds, he goes, okay, stand up. And I was like, oh my God, my hips feel better. They feel lighter, my knee pain is about 60-70% less, just like that, 30 seconds. And he goes, let's do it again. And he put me in a different pose. And then my pain just dropped off the charts. And I said, you got to do this regular. And so I did. Do you know, within 1 month, I was back playing basketball again, and I hadn't played in 3 years. Within 3 months, I was back to dunking a basketball again. And not only that, but I got my vertical jump up because I invented something to help my vertical jump. It was probably one of my greatest inventions ever, called the power jumper. And I made this protocol where within 3 more months after that, I was hitting my head on the rim and I had a 47-inch vertical jump, hitting my armpit on the rim. So they're literally, I could do every dunk Michael Jordan could do except the one from the free throw line. It's pretty good still, but that is where I was. So think about this. I lost my range of motion, my body, spirit. But then because I met somebody who gave me that range physically back, it gave me the mind and the spirit back as well. I got my confidence back up and I was killing it again. And that is the gist of what we're trying to show you guys today. Range equates to, of the body, equates to range in the mind and the spirit as well. So about at this time, I'm starting to get my confidence back. I've invented some really amazing products. I'm getting notoriety across the country in all these fitness magazines for the inventions I've made. And so I decide, you know what, there's no place that trains like how I train, because I learned the yoga alignment training from Roger. I was mostly doing bodyweight training with my dad's, with his cables and his resistance tubing, so I would combine the two into really cool movement patterns that all supported skill training, that all supported range of motion, balance and stuff. And I was feeling great. So I thought, why not open a gym that trains just like how I train? And so I did that. And the gym blew up. We became nationally known, and within a short time, we had locations all over the world. The gym was so packed. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. But within that first year or so, I came to a point in my life. So my inventions are killing it again. Big range. My inventions are killing it. My gym's killing it. Physically, I'm amazing. I'm super strong. I'm jumping out the gym. And I was spending all this time at the gym, and I wasn't spending time with my fiance. I had a fiance at the time. And after 9/11, my brother from New York moved back, and he moved in with us. She wasn't working, he wasn't working. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. Just, things didn't go right. And so on Christmas Day, they told me that they had fallen in love with each other. And it was a kick in the gut like crazy. And I said, you guys gotta go. And a few months after that, Greg, my brother from New York, he came by my place in the morning to look for her. She wasn't there, but he thought she realized she couldn't just jump into a relationship like that, and he was looking for her, and he was troubled, and he said, well, I'm gone. I'll never see you again. And I had a moment where I was like, okay. I knew he was gonna go kill himself. I had talked to him before in his life about this, to bring him back down. And it's a moment in my life that sometimes I look at it like I could have stopped him again if I would have just said, dude, I love you. I don't care about all that stuff. But I said, you got to do what you got to do. And I realized he lived his life, and this is something I had to come to grips with a lot over the next year. We all are given choice, and I didn't want to get caught up in his choice of how he lived his life. 2 hours later, the cops called me and said, can you come down to your gym? And I said, my brother Greg is dead, isn't he? And they're like, well, we can't tell you that. And I was like, you don't have to, he's dead. And they were like, yeah. And he had got killed by the cops. It's called suicide by police. And it made national news. So needless to say, that was crushing. Crushed my spirit, crushed my mind. You see, right before this happened, I realized that Isaka and it wasn't going well. And so I said, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? Because I could tell I'm big range on most everything else, but my relationship was small. It wasn't working well. And she said, you got to go through hell. So I said, bring it on. I want to endure it because I want to be a great man. I don't want to be a mediocre man. there's a big difference there. That's a decision as well. And so she said, you got to go through hell. So I said, bring it on. Greg got killed. My little cousin blew his head off. I go to Brazil. My best friend gets shot and killed while I'm there. Also, Isak and I lost a child right before and 7 people total were killed or died within the year.
Even Roger. Even Roger.
Yeah. And to finish it off then, at the end of that year, my mentor in movement, Roger, died from cancer. And I was crushed. I literally said the only thing else that can happen is I die. And when people say heart-wrenching, it's true. I literally felt like somebody was squeezing my heart and ripping it out of my chest. And I still feel that today. But I realized, okay, it is what it is. You know, everybody leads their life. I don't want to just sit here and cry the rest of my life. So I'm either going to let this break me or it's going to make me. And this is a statement I started using all the time. But at this time also, I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a lot of support. My family, nobody in my family gave a fuck that Greg was killed. I actually heard some say I didn't like him anyways. Can you believe that? He wasn't my blood brother, but he was my brother. And so when all these people died, I didn't have anybody to talk to. But one of the things that we talk a lot about is proximity to. We are all creatures of who we're surrounded with. You guys being here is awesome because you're surrounding yourself with David and people that are trying to take us in a higher level. And so that's what I did at this time. Again, I didn't have anybody to lean on physically, so what I did was lean on books. I got a book, Conversations with God, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Celestine Prophecies, Buddhism, Zen, Alan Watts. I was reading everything. Why? Because I had crushed my adrenals. I was producing no testosterone. I literally was on the verge of dying. And when my friend, who is a naturopath doctor, when all this happened, I was feeling the worst I've ever felt in my life. And he did a blood work on me. And the doctors who read it for him said, is this guy a heroin addict? And he said, no, he's really healthy. And they said, well, he's in really, really bad shape. He literally should do nothing for the next 6 months. So that's all I did. I would literally get a book and I'd walk around Madison, Wisconsin for 3 to 4 hours a day, connecting to those that are above me and making my mind, body, spirit healthier, letting my body recover and opening my mind and my spirit up back to a healthier range of motion. It took time, but I did it. And it's because I surrounded myself, not with a physical mentor this time, but with spiritual mentors via audiobooks, via actual books, and then getting out in nature and reading. So again, I sought outside assistance to rise instead of fall. And then I met Jessie. Jessie has been also a mentor to me in different ways in my life because she is a queen, she's a powerful woman, and she'll challenge, but she'll support me to help me rise to higher levels constantly in life. And everybody needs that connection with somebody or something. She is definitely in my starting 5, what we call, a starting 5 that you want to support you. You got to surround yourself with people that are going to help you rise to higher levels, that will challenge you to grow, expand your range of motion, mind, body, spirit. Okay? And Jessie does that. And I love her very much for that. Okay, so now getting back to the baseline of everything. You've heard my stories of no range, high range, no range, high range, and then again. Life's like that, But the whole thing is that I'm learned about is that get that range by physical movement. It's been a constant. Also supporting with positive vibes from those around you. That strengthens you. And then it also gives you the ability, the third phase of it, it goes range plus strength, and then recall. Having the ability to turn around adverse situations so that you rise and that you're stronger for it. So all these mentors helped me open my range of motion up. They are there all the time to help you rise, and that is what we're going to do with you here. We're going to teach you some physical movement patterns that literally help to open your range of motion physically. And when you do that, you're going to stand up, you're going to feel lighter, you're going to feel, oh my God, less pain, less aches and pains. And without question, if you just think about it right now, the aches and pains, what if they were 50% less in the next 5 minutes? You'd be happier, right? You'd feel more confident. Well, maybe I can run a little bit. Maybe I can do some jumps and movement patterns like that. And your confidence, without question, will go up. So when we do this work, we call some of it partner feedback. We're going to teach you how to do stuff on your own as well. But the gist is gain physical range, and it will help you gain mental and spiritual range as well. Okay, now we're going to break up into pairs. We're going to start with some warm-up drills, and then we're going to go through a bunch of partner feedback drills to help you relieve tight areas of the body, ankle, hips, the spine, the shoulders, so that when you stand up out of them, you're going to be like, holy crap, I feel way better. That's the gist of it. It's going to make you feel great. Let's get started.